Hi Year 7! Today we are looking at addition and subtraction of decimals. It is really important when we're adding or subtracting decimals that we make sure that we have set out our questions really carefully. So you need to make sure when you're writing your questions that you're making sure that you're placing each one under the other one so that the place values are in the same column. So it may be helpful to add a 0 or to put extra decimal places in to ensure that you are adding or subtracting the correct numbers. So when we're talking about putting them under each other so that the place values are in the correct column, if you look at our examples here, we can see that the decimal place in each of our examples appears at the exact same spot. So for question 1, our decimal places there are on top of each other. So we can work out from there. So we've got our units, our tens going up, and we have our tenths and hundredths going down. So we could put an extra 0 in here if we wanted to, just to make both of our questions have all of the same values in each of the columns. You don't have to do that, but that is a way that you can do it to ensure you are adding the correct numbers together. I'm going to start by going through these examples here. The top 5 are about adding, the bottom 5 are about subtracting. So I'm going to work through those with you, just so you have an idea as to what we're doing. Okay, so our examples here. So we start off by making sure that our decimal points are above each other. Then what we can do is we can add in the additional 0 here if we're a bit unsure as to what we're doing with that first 3, so we know that we're not actually adding anything to that. But then we do 3 plus 0, which is 3. 3 plus 6, which is 9. We add our decimal point in. 7 plus 7 is 14. Carry the 1. 4 plus 1 is 5, plus our additional 1 is 6. So 47.33 plus 17.6 will give us 64.93. Again, we can do the same thing over here. So we can add in our 0, a decimal point, and our 2 zeros there. So we have all of our columns filled. So our first one, we just got 1. 8 plus 7 is 15. So again, we're going to carry that 1 over there. 3 plus 8 is 11, plus the 1 is 12. And 6 plus 2 is 8, plus the 1 is 9. Question 3, again, we're going to add our decimal point and our 2 zeros to both of those. So all of our columns are filled. Our first one, we're going to have a 2, 6, a decimal point. 5 plus 6 is 11. 3 plus 1 plus 7 is 11, plus 1 is 12. 3 plus 1 plus 1 plus our additional 1 will give us 621.62. Question 4, again, we can put in the extra zeros. Okay, so for our last one here, I'm not actually going to write in the additional zeros. I'm just going to imagine that there is like an imaginary line between each of those to just kind of break it up so I know which ones I'm adding together. So for my first one, I've got 1 and 7. That will give me 8. So our answer to that one there is 18,852.448. Now if we look at our subtraction, so again, if we're missing a 0, we might want to add 1 in. So for our first one here, we're going to have 24.10 because we need the 0 to take away the 6. So we can't minus 6 from 0, so we need to take something away from here. So that becomes a 0, that becomes a 1. 10 minus 6 is 4. 0 minus 5 we can't do, so we're going to take from there. 10 minus 5 is 5. We need to put in our decimal point. 3 minus 9 we can't do, so we're going to do 13 minus 9, which is 4, and 1 minus 0 is 1. So we'll have 24.1 minus 9.56 will give us 14.54. Question 2 here, we've got 8 minus nothing, so we'll get 8. 4 minus 9 we can't do, so we need to borrow. So 14 minus 9 gives us 5 decimal point. 1 minus 7 we can't do. 11 minus 7 is 4. 7 minus 5 is 2. This one we will need to put the 0 in. We need to borrow from there. So 10 minus 5 is 5. 8 minus 0 is 8. We put in our decimal point. 2 minus 8 we can't do. 12 minus 8 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. 6 minus nothing is 6. We can't do 0 minus nothing. 10 minus 4 is 6. The answer is 25.66. And our final example here, 13 minus 7 is 6. 15 minus 8 is 7. 14 minus 8 is 6, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So our final answer for the subtraction is 16.76. Okay, let's pretend for a second that we didn't already have them set up for us and we just had 2 questions. So if we had 23.45 plus 31.843. These ones aren't set up like the previous questions. These ones we have to set up ourselves. So if we start with our 23.45, then we need to put our 31.843. So our decimal point is in the same point. So there's our 843 and our 31. So we're making sure that each of our values are placed in the same place value column. And then we can put our equal sign and our adding sign. We could put in an additional 0 here. It's not changing that value. All it's doing is saying that I don't have any value in that column. So then we'd have 3. The answer to that question would be 55.293. So that's how we would set it out if we were given 2 decimal numbers and we needed to add them together. You do the same process if you were subtracting them. The difference is whatever number comes first has to go on the top, and whatever number comes second needs to go on the bottom.